So we've followed the anti-hero's rise, we've watched their descent into some pretty dark places, and we've seen them win through some, well, let's call them morally ambiguous triumphs. But what happens after the big win? Today we're jumping into that final chilling act, the isolated return, where success comes with a bill that's absolutely devastating.
Just picture it for a second. When a traditional hero wins, what do we see? We imagine parades, big celebrations, a community that's been saved, and our hero coming home to cheers. It's a victory for everyone. But for the anti-hero, oh, the picture is profoundly different.
Look at this contrast. You've got the classic hero, welcome back into the community, their actions bringing peace and joy. And then you've got the anti-hero. Their return is all about the exact opposite. Constant danger, the fear they see in everyone's eyes, and this deep, permanent exile. See, they don't come back to a world they saved. They come back to a world they basically broke to get what they wanted.
So how in the world do they end up in this spot? What drives them to this lonely, miserable fate? Well, it's not some accident. It's actually the logical endpoint of a journey that's built on two very specific, very non-heroic principles.
First up is this idea of honest greed. And the key word there really is honest. The anti-hero isn't hiding what they're after. They are upfront about wanting wealth, or status, or influence, and that desire is the engine driving this whole train. It's not a noble call to adventure, it's a raw call to opportunity.
And you pair that greed with this, noble power. This is the core belief, deep down, that the world is a mess, and that they are the only ones who are competent enough to fix it, by controlling it, of course. It's a huge shift from wanting to serve a community to needing to completely dominate it, all under the guise of making things right.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? A traditional hero finds the light so they can share it with everybody. But the anti-hero? No, they seize the lamp itself. That's their honest greed, because they are completely convinced they're the only one who knows the right way to use it, and that's their noble power.
Okay, so let's see how this all plays out in the real world. We're going to follow the final act of a character named Cillian of the Hollow, starting with his journey home, which, as you'll see, is less of a triumphant return and more of a desperate hunt.
So Cillian's gotten everything he wanted, and now he's heading home. But there are no welcome banners waiting. Instead, he's being hunted by the dispossessed, the very families he betrayed to get rich. All that silver he fought for, it doesn't buy him a soft bed, it just makes him a bigger target. He can't even risk lighting a campfire, because any glimmer of light is just an open invitation for a vengeful blade in the dark. The same skills he used to get his fortune are now the only things keeping him from a shallow grave.
And that's the real kicker, right? His journey home isn't the reward for his victory. It's the first payment on the debt he owes for how he won. This constant fear, this paranoia, that's the first invoice coming due.
Now, in a classic hero story, this is usually the point where they're spiritually reborn, where they come back stronger and wiser. For the anti-hero, it's a resurrection of a much, much darker kind. It's the final, brutal death of whatever humanity they had left.
Cillian finally gets to his childhood home, the Hollow, only to find it's occupied by soldiers who couldn't care less about his claim to the land. A traditional hero might try to reason with them or find a just way to prove they're right. Cillian, though, he sees only one solution: wipe them all off the board.
And his plan is just brutally efficient. He doesn't just fight, he plays everyone against each other. He stirs up conflict between the occupying Normans and the local Irish rebels. Then, while they're busy fighting each other, he picks off the leaders of both sides from the shadows. When all the smoke clears, there's literally no one left with any authority to challenge him. He is the only power left standing. This moment. This is his true resurrection. He completely sheds the last bit of his identity as a person connected to society. He's not Cillian the mercenary anymore, or Cillian the landowner. He becomes a phantom, a local ghost story whose power isn't based on law or respect, but on pure, isolated fear.
So he did it. He has everything he ever wanted. He's got his land, his silver, his absolute power. But what does that victory actually look like? This is where we see the true, bitter price of the anti-hero's reward, their tainted elixir.
Just look at this grim balance sheet. He wanted land and status. What he got was a fortress, not a home. He's feared, not respected. He wanted a hoard of silver. He got a pile of useless metal with absolutely no one to share it with. And he wanted ultimate power. But what he actually achieved was total, crushing isolation. No friends, no family, no peace.
You know, his fate really reminds me of the old myth of Stingy Jack, the guy cursed to wander forever between heaven and hell, belonging to neither. That's Cillian. He has everything he needs to exist, food, wealth, a roof over his head, but he has absolutely no place and no one where he can truly belong.
All right, let's pull all these threads together into the final haunting image of the anti-hero's journey. What does being the master of two worlds actually look like when all is said and done?
And here is the ultimate paradox. He stands as the master of two different worlds, the world of the powerful conquerors he used to work for, and the world of the conquered people he came from. He completely dominates both realms, but he's a total outcast from each of them. He is utterly, completely alone.
There's a really powerful way to think about this. Imagine the anti-hero's journey is all about securing a giant fortress. To make absolutely sure no one can ever get in and challenge him, he burns every single bridge leading to it.
So yeah, the fortress is secure, but it's also a prison he built for himself. Now he has no way to leave, there's no one inside to talk to, and his entire life is reduced to one single paranoid act, pacing the walls day in and day out, forever watching for the next threat to arrive.
And that leaves us with this final question. The anti-hero gets everything they thought they wanted. They won the game. They built their own world from the ground up. But what's the real value of a world? What's the value of a victory if you're the only person left to see it? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this one.